Now, the first two questions from the video, I recommended that you actually start by writing down the square numbers, because these are the ones that you're going to be using for these exercises, and probably also for the radicals questions as well. It's good to know those numbers and make sure that they're close. So first of all I should check, is there a GCF? And there's not for this one. So 4 and 25, so 4 is 2x and 2x, 25 is 5 and 5, both plus. And then it says we could check just to make sure that this is right, so let's just check very quickly. 2x times 2x is 4x squared, 2x times 5 is 10x, 5 times 2x is 10x, and 5 times 5 is 25, so 4x squared. 10x and 10x is 20x, and 25. So first one is certainly correct, and it's worth making that little check just to make sure that we did get these right. Quick look at a GCF. I don't see one, so I do notice though that the first and the last numbers are both perfect squares. So I got 9x and 9x. For 4, I've got 2 and 2. Both sides are going to be negative. And if we want to check, just to make sure we got this right, 81x squared minus 18x minus 18x plus 4, so 81x squared. Negative 18x take away 18x is negative 36x and plus 4. So that one's good as well. Now for question 3, I'm going to show you how most students did this in class first, and then I'll show you how you should perhaps have done this question. So they said, look, this is a square number, this is a square number, so we've got 9x minus 3, 9x minus 3, 3 times 3 is 9, and we're done. Now the problem with this is it's not fully factored. There's a factor within here, the 9 and the 3, both of those are in the 3 times table. So I could take a 3 out of the first factor, but then also, obviously with it being the same, I could take a 3 as a common factor out of the second expression as well. And then if I multiply these together, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3x minus 1 times 3x minus 1 is 3x minus 1 squared. So if you leave that as your answer, you haven't actually fully factored this question, so you should have finished with that. Now, even better than that, you should have looked at the initial question to see if there was a GCF. And actually there is a GCF, because 54 is also in the 9 times table. So if we take 9 as a common factor here, 9 times 9x squared gives us 81x squared. 9 times 6 gives us 54. And the numbers are fairly small for this, so I might just want to do sliding line for this, but these are also perfect squares. So 9 is going to give me 3 and 3. 1 is 1 and 1, and both subtract. And then if you check your answer carefully by doing FOIL, you find that you do get back to that. And notice that's indeed what I said a second ago. Now the last question, I have to admit, was a bit of a trick question, because I deliberately set this up so people would go 3x and 4, 3x and 4, both negative, and then go, I'm done. But if you multiply back and check, what you get is 9x squared minus 12x minus 12x, which is actually negative 24x. So actually this is not a perfect square this time. So you do always have to check back just to make sure it does work. So as it's not a perfect square, I am actually going to have to do slide and glide. So if I do 9 times 16, I get 144. Now this one is quite a tricky one. Two numbers that times to make 144 and add together to make 25. It took quite a while for people to find 9 and 16. Both sides the same, both negative. Now we've got to divide by the original 9. If we simplify, 9 over 9 is 1. And then 16 over 9 doesn't simplify, so glide the 9 back to the front. And if you check using FOIL for this, it does work. Negative 9x. Take away 16x does indeed give you negative 25x. So a couple of key things from this exercise. I think the first one is make sure you always check very carefully for a question to see if there is a GCF, and that should be true for every question that you do. Secondly, make sure you do multiply back at the end once you've got your answer to make sure you get back to what you're supposed to get to, and make sure that there wasn't a trick in there at all, because otherwise you could have the wrong answer, as I managed to do on question 4. The remainder of today's lesson was a quick little review on all the methods that we covered. So you might just want to look through the videos from the first 6 sessions so you can prepare for that.